He said he's been like that all night. Not to worry about it.
No, that's not okay.
Well, his person is not checking when he's doing rounds. He's just walking by and scanning.
The real story starts hours before Kingsley was booked into the jail, unable to even stand on his own, accused of a crime he did not commit.
A U.S. postal worker is at work one night and he begins to have a really bad headache. All of a sudden, he disappears. No one knows where he is. It's discovered that he's driving home. Well, we want to believe that he's driving home because he doesn't know where home is. And the unfortunate part of all this, he was stopped by the cops.
At the United States Post Office's Eagan Distribution Center, Kingsley works the night shift. He began complaining of a headache and then just vanished from his job. Records show an Eagan police officer spotted him driving his maroon car the wrong way on Pilot Knob Road, in oncoming traffic, bumping into the center median. He was pulled over.
Maroon Ford Edge registered to a Kingsley Bing Pong.
According to the police report, Kingsley was extremely confused, did not know where he lived, and did not know where he worked, even though he was wearing a USPS vest.
Hey, Kingsley.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
I don't know.
Kingsley just kept repeating, "I don't know," and was unable to do standard field sobriety tests.
I've covered DUI stops several times in the past. And one thing that I always make sure to mention is that intoxication can mimic a stroke, or a stroke can mimic intoxication. There are several things that look identical. For example, I have here slurred speech, loss of balance or coordination, confusion, facial drooping, weakness, vision problems, sudden fatigue. All of these things can look as if a person is intoxicated. But on this particular situation, or in situations like these, I know many people may say, well, they're police officers, they're not paramedics, they're not doctors or nurses. But even in the police department, there are those who are trained to identify these signs and symptoms, to identify a stroke and not mistake the stroke for intoxication.
There was no sign or smell of alcohol.
Hey, if you're free, can you come over here, please?
So Officer Martin Jensen, Eagan's Specialized Drug Recognition Evaluator, or DRE, was called to the scene. DRE officers go through advanced training by the Minnesota State Patrol to help identify drivers impaired by drugs and distinguish them from those suffering medical emergencies. They're trained on a 12-step process. But according to Bennett, that protocol was ignored. The lawsuit alleges Officer Jensen can be heard on body cam saying doing a DRE evaluation would just be a whole bunch of time wasted. And when asked if Kingsley should be taken to the hospital, the DRE officer responded, "For what?" Kingsley was arrested, charged with DWI, and taken by Officer Jensen to Dakota County Jail, where he was so disoriented he was unable to even complete booking. Instead of getting a medical screening, jail video shows he was placed in a cell. Minutes later, he falls, and hour after hour after hour, he rolls on the floor, unable to stand, urinating on himself repeatedly.
So the E in DRE stands for expert. And when I covered these videos in the past, I saw comments in the comment section saying, hey, these are cops, not paramedics. It does not matter. They are trained to identify the difference between intoxication and a stroke. This is the 12-step DRE evaluation, and it includes breath alcohol test, interviewing the arresting officer, preliminary examination and first pulse check, eye examination, divided attention test, vital sign checks, dark room examinations, muscle tone, injection sites, second pulse check, subject statements and other observations, toxicological samples. This is a 12-step test that you would take someone through when you call out the expert to see if he's drunk or if he's really having a stroke. And somewhere along the line, it would have been discovered that this individual was actually having a stroke.
A drug recognition evaluator on scene only partially completed required steps, and, quote, no pulse or other vital signs were taken.
Guards look in and document inmate and cell okay.
Paperwork says they checked on him and he was okay.
He was clearly not okay.
What was he?
Dying.
More than 3 hours went by until a female guard noted he was foaming at the mouth, having seizure-like activity, and the jail nurse was finally called.
Come on, son. Belly up. Wake up. Wake up.
Acting on the information that he was on drugs, she administers Narcan, with no results.
Come on.
Can you look at me?
Wake up.
As paramedics arrive, you can hear a guard and nurse discuss how Kingsley was ignored, the so-called well-being checks, just for show.
He said he's been like that all night. Not to worry about it.
No, that's not okay.
Well, his person is not checking when he's doing rounds. He's just walking by and scanning.
Finally, taken to the hospital, where it was determined he'd been suffering for hours when every minute counted from an untreated stroke. Our investigation finds DRE officers are specifically trained that subjects suffering from a stroke will often have a dazed appearance and be confused, and warned a stroke may mimic drug and alcohol impairment. At the hospital, Kingsley was declared brain dead. The state crime lab later confirmed there were in his system no drugs. For KARE 11 Investigates, I'm AJ Legault.
As you heard the nurses state that the deputies, as they walked by the cell, they just noted that he was okay, not laying on the floor, not looking like he's struggling to breathe, but he was fine. I worked in the jail before I worked on the street, and we had to do what we call rounds, okay? We had to do 15-minute rounds, 30-minute rounds, and 1-hour rounds. Depending on what cycle and how you were setting it up, you had to do rounds. The point of doing those rounds was to make sure that the person inside of the cell was alive. Because sometimes you would have a person who they hated their situation and they would attempt to take themselves out. So the point is to make sure that the inmates, the people who are inside of the cells, are safe. These guards walked around and lied on legal documents. And if you ask me, that's falsifying a document. Not only that, it was reported that not only were they mistaking, the stroke for intoxication. Well, I got to stop saying that. The DRE expert did not mistake the stroke for intoxication. He just refused to do his job. And because of that, this guy died. But because of this, he died. And also, none of the jail staff were current on their first aid or their CPR certifications. No one there. And when I say no one there, I'm talking about the deputies. I'm pretty sure the nurses had to be current on their certifications, just based on what's required to be a nurse. But the jails, the officers, the deputies, they weren't even current on their certifications. They were not even supposed to be working at that point. As you can see, it's not just one person in this situation. It's the DRE expert. It's the jailers inside of the county jail. It's a series of steps that made this situation happen. This guy does not have to be dead at this point. He could have been taken to the hospital and it could have been discovered that he's having a stroke. Even when you listen to him talk, okay? If you don't smell any alcohol, all right, there's no signs of alcohol. There's no bottles, no beer cans, nothing. Why do you come to the conclusion that he's drunk? Even when you listen to him talk, you hear him slur his speech. Well, that also can be a sign of a stroke. But here's the telltale sign, and this is what tells it all, and I'm beating a dead horse here. When the DRE expert stated, for what? There's no point of even doing this. They simply did not care. Lock them up. Let's move on with the night. This is policing in America. And this is why not just myself, other channels across YouTube and other social media networks, and also auditors and cop watchers, this is the reason why this is happening. Okay. Because things like this, it has to stop. It's happening each and every day, and people are sick of it. Right. Always protect yourself. That being said, see you guys next time.